I've been thinking a lot about young people, right? Me and my sister, who's 17, talk about this a lot. And thinking about young people's reactions to things, and they are under no, like, they see things clear as day. And I think of all of us, they're the least in denial about where the world is at. They're least in denial about our fate if we don't do something to stop climate change. And they have a sense of compassion that I think just goes above and beyond, like, even my own generation. Just like sense of humanity. And but also, that nihilism is always there lurking. And I think if people are not empowered and emboldened to do something about this, if people are not shown or made aware of the weakness of empire, the weakness of capitalism, it can be easy for them to really fall into the idea that there's nothing that can be done, right? We know that in the pandemic, teens are just suicidal like never before. Even as we're going back to school, teachers are reporting that they can't really get students to be interested in their work. And I think it's because living through climate change, living through the pandemic, like, they know what matters and what doesn't. And they know, like, that there has to be something else. And I think it's our job to create that hope, to create that path for generations to come, because there's no other way. And really, they hold our future in their hands, is something that I always remind myself too. And thinking about fascism and how it's, rebranding itself, I think a lot about how that is also nothing new. I think they're making themselves in the image of the very first police, right? These settlers who were vigilante mobs who took up arms to murder Native people, to murder enslaved African people. I think that they know their history very well, and they are embodying it in a very specific way for a very specific reason. And I think they actually see themselves as being contemporary iterations of these vigilante mobs whose job it was to take justice into their own hands before there was, a formal police force as we know it. We know that they were deputized, and it was those vigilante militias who became the police. So, I think it's also just important to remember that these guys understand their histories and their traditions of violence too, just as well as we know ours. And that, it's just really interesting that sometimes we don't even acknowledge the power we have when they're shaking in their little boots over here.